Sweetie, look at this unreleased file we're not getting. Tell No Shame in Feeding to let the Fly Beetle model out.
Please release the Fly Beetle model.
Alright, we have Fly Beetle. I'm pretty excited about this one. Here are all the different parts I just wanted to showcase super quick. There we go. I printed this in mint green, ABS-like resin from Elegoo. I think I went a little heavy-handed on the supports, but let's be honest, you can never have too many supports. You can, but the goal is minimum. I went way overboard. But yeah, here are all the parts. This said to print 6 feet, so I printed 6 feet right there. A whole bunch of different parts. These are the wings here, pretty cool looking. Nice color as well. I'm really excited that mint green is pretty much Ventus color. It worked out. Here is part of the tusk, I guess that's what it's called. And some other bits and bobs there we'll get into later. But kind of just showing all the parts. I had almost no problems printing this. I don't think I had anything at all. One thing I had to do was sand afterwards. So I went ahead and actually did a test model before I even started filming, just to make sure I kind of understood the mechanics, because that makes my life a lot easier. And here is like the prototype, I guess you would call it, assembled. And this is like what it looks like in all its glory. Different pins, springs here. I can't tell you the exact springs I used. I just kind of grabbed from my pile, but I know that the 2 side wings are very tiny, so just keep a lookout for those if you plan on building this. But it works pretty well. I'm not, I haven't got fully into it yet, but I mean, it's pretty simple. Oh, the head fell off there, but it's a pretty simple model so far, so I think this should be a piece of cake. But we have to start painting. That is the first thing we have to do. This here is the green I'm using, super cheap stuff. You can probably pick it up anywhere, and we're gonna mask up all of our different green bits for the most part. I didn't mask up everything because I hate masking and some of the parts were too small, but stuff like the wings, the tusk, and then of course like in the body portions we will go ahead and patch up. And then there's small things here like these arrows and then the feet, where I opted to just go ahead and use a brush instead because it'd be 10 times easier to do. And then here we are just airbrushing everything green. I did a couple different coats on this just to make sure it went on good, and then of course we'll do touch-ups later. I was having a lot of problems with my airbrush pretty much right after this. You'll see it when I start painting the yellow. It was a mess, but we got it fixed. That's all that matters. For the yellow, I started by spraying white, and I definitely should have put another coat of white on this, but when your garage is approximately 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you cut corners. But the yellow still turned out really good. There's a little undertone of green in there, which I missed, but it doesn't really affect anything in the long run. Same thing here. Again, I should have added another white coat on there, but it actually turned out really cool. I was very happy with how like this yellow-orange came out, so I'll be excited to show that to you guys. Go ahead and put the 600 G power on here. I went with 600 for this guy. I wanted to make him a little bit stronger. And we're just going to water slide decal that and pop it on one of the wings on the other side. And here we go. Here are all of the different components. This is completely painted after being clear coated. There's that nice orangey yellow. So this is that yellow and then a orange wet, like brushing onto it. And then we got the wings. There's that 600 Gs. Here are the wings, the like little wings. I painted 2 different sets of them. And then here is the tusk with a nice green and then the gray. There are the eyes and everything. Pretty happy with how all this turned out. Can't complain. And then here are the feet, which were surprisingly pretty easy to paint. And then you can clean it up with a little isopropyl alcohol if you make any mistakes. I noticed here No Shame in Feeding did a gray like horn piece to the tusk, and to me that actually ended up making more sense because I could paint it gray and let it blend in later. But now we need to go ahead and start assembling, so I'm kind of just working my way backwards using that prototype and then building up what I have. So I'll go ahead and let this play out for the most part, but I'll try and throw in some different pieces here. So like for instance, that's what that spring looks like, and I'll come back later and show you what the magnet mechanism looks like. Alright, so here's what the underside looks like. This is with all of the different legs put in, so they're really just pins. I feel like there might be a slightly better way to do this. My pins might have been too big. I just kind of feel like even after sanding the feet, they didn't quite sit flush with the rest of the body. But here are the wings here, and it kind of just sits on top of each other like so. So you just put it on there. We have to add the like headpiece and then screw it all together. Here's the magnet piece, as I said. Mine, I've seen it a couple different ways, but I just had this spring laying around and I ended up pushing it over this little ledge, and then I ended up super gluing it just because it wouldn't stay, but having it like this worked just fine for what I needed. And without further ado, here is the completed product. Yay! Super cool guy. I'm gonna be talking about him here more in a second. Alright, and here is the final product. Unfortunately, this is where I started having some like really bad issues with this Bakugan. Is just throughout the assembly process and the like trying to get it to actually work process part of things. I just had an absolute ton of issues, and I don't know why. Like, for instance, that part always gets stuck. I have some issues with the wings getting stuck when like they weren't getting stuck before. This part was 100% me, but putting in a pin, I like cracked this whole portion of the body, which I did repair. It just kind of looks a little bit weird, but it did crack. A foot randomly cracked. I have no idea why. It actually falls off later in this recording. You'll see it pop off, but that cracked off. I had to like go in and like the face was rubbing against part of the body for some reason. So if that's not like perfectly flush, things happen. That hook, which wasn't connecting right at all, you have to put the Bakugan on the magnet, close it all the way, then release it off the magnet. I'll show it in a minute, but I had to like reconnect that with resin, so there's like resin residue in the bottom. I had to glue this whole part of the body because this screw doesn't hold it together. I don't know if that's like I'm using the wrong screw. I'm just using what I had on hand here. And then I had to glue it there as well. Like, it was just so many different things I had to do, but it's obviously like the first time I'm building it. But like the feet don't really fit flush, and that's an issue I've been having. I might just need to sand them more. But that's how you close it. So you pop it in there and then you lower it down. And the only way I found to properly close this thing consistently is to do it on a magnet, and then you can roll it here. And it's definitely not like 100% consistent, but I have been getting decent results with just rolling it like that. For the most part, that works every single time, but I just have so many issues. At some point in here, like I said, the whole foot just falls apart, and I'm like, why did that happen? But it should here in a second, so I'm like, oh, that foot's a little stuck. It's actually sitting flush. Let me get my tweezers out. And then I go in there just to very carefully pry it up, and it pops right off and breaks. So I don't know what went wrong there. I guess that glue hadn't fully cured, but it'd been like 12 hours. But overall, like I said, it's a really cool model. It's just very fragile. I think I want to redo this one and make it in Subterra, but I like to put all this stuff on YouTube because it shows that not everything you see online is going to be 100% perfect every time. Oftentimes we only show perfection online, and we only show like the best of the best when it comes to displaying stuff like this, and that's just not always the case. So I wanted to show something that I actually genuinely struggled with, which was this. So it was much harder than I thought it was going to be, but I am grateful for the experience because now I can go in and make another one and spend my time on it and make it better. There's a lot of pressure to get videos like this out, so I did want to get it done for everyone, but now I can actually go in and take my time and focus on it and make something I'm proud of. Not to say that I'm not proud of this one, I'm just more happy to have like grown from it, gained some knowledge, failed a bunch, and then now I've learned a lot of stuff. So I think a Subterra one may be on the horizon. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Fly Beetle down below in the comments. Huge shout out to No Shame in Feeding for releasing the model. It was very unexpected. I'm very happy that it happened. I'm glad we can add this one to our collections. And that's all from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more awesome content. My name is Jesse. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.